Hello, welcome to the channel and thanks for watching. So in this video I'm going to show you how you can quickly and easily strip paint from models, and I'm going to demonstrate it on a Goliath that I've got that was ruined by a dodgy spray varnish. So before we get into the video, as usual, all YouTubers say, like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy what I'm doing. Also check out my Facebook and Instagram pages if you want to see some extra stuff. In the video today I'm going to show you stripping the paint off two Goliath models. So I really like the paint scheme on these. But unfortunately when I varnished them, you can see on the arm there particularly a lot of frosting came off the varnish, sort of a dodgy can, and across the flesh and all the metal, so ruined the models. And I've never used them in the gang because I really just don't like the fact that they got wrecked by that varnish. I also got asked on a latest Necromunda video if I was going to do a Goliath paint scheme, so an ideal opportunity to strip these back and paint them up at a later date to put in a video. Now I have taken them off the bases because bases weren't too bad, and I'm going to reuse them and just glue them back in the same place once I'm done. Now I'm going to show you stripping these models in just an old sandwich pot, really so that you can actually see the models in the liquid, but I would always recommend doing this in a sealable jam jar or something like that, so that you can just keep the liquid in there in between uses, sealed up, there's no risk of it leaking or evaporating, that kind of thing. But for the purposes of this I'm going to show you it in this so you can see it easy. First thing we're using is isopropanol. So this is relatively commonly available. I use this for watering down silicone sealants and that kind of thing, for doing homemade water effects. It's about £3 for a bottle if you're in the UK. If you're a northern like I am, you can get it from boys' shops, so fairly easy to get hold of. Be very careful when using it. Like all these things, I'm using a protected table. Now the next thing we're using is methylated spirit, so I've just got this knocking around for camping purposes, and it's obviously in a fuel bottle there. Same thing, same process. And what we're doing here is just covering the model completely, using those. Now methylated spirits is cheaper to get hold of. It is a bit smellier, and obviously they're both flammable, but I think Met is obviously designed as a fuel, so whichever you feel comfortable in using. Now the models have been in there for about 2 hours at this point, and we're going to now use a plate to show you the flecks of paint coming off on, and also show you why you need to protect your tables, because the permanent marker that's on that plate that my kids drew on is going to disappear as we go. So wearing a rubber glove and using a very old toothbrush that I've got for other cleaning purposes, and just scrub over the model. So we're working through a layer of varnish here as well, because they are quite heavily varnished, and through the paint, so it's not going to be a quick process. It's not going to be a dunk it in for 2 hours, take it out and all the paint's gone. You've got to have a bit of work at this, and you'll see when I'm using the brush here at all different angles, you'll see that the paint is flecking off onto that plate. So that's a bit of a time skip after I've gone at it for a minute or so, and some of the paint is stubbornly clinging on, some of the metallics particularly. So back into the liquid, and then we'll take a look at what the isopropanol does in comparison. So taking it out of the liquid with the tweezers there and just holding it in some rubber gloves, and do really be very, very careful with this stuff because it can irritate your skin, and it will strip paint off tables and things, so just make really, really sure you're doing it in a safe environment. And as you can see there, equally well as the methylated spirits, just giving it a good scrub, and the paint is coming off quite happily. So this isn't something I do very often. I don't often strip models. I'm not one that does eBay rescues and buys all those kind of things, but every now and then you'll get, like in this case, a dodgy varnish batch, or you'll wreck a model when you're doing a paint scheme and think, oh, I really don't want to go and buy another one. In particular in this case, because I was asked to do a Goliath paint scheme, and well, why not? Because I do a lot of Necromunda videos. I didn't want to go buy a whole other Goliath box because my gang is complete and I've got a lot of models in it. So it's just something we can do, strip the models back down and make use of that damaged paint scheme to, for multi-purposes. So what we're seeing now is the models after their second 2 hour plunge, and the paint is mostly gone. We are mostly back to the silver base coat that I put on them. The methylated spirits having a bit of a time getting through the brass colour that was on there, so obviously having a harder time with the metallics. And then we're just scrubbing here for the second time on the isopropanol used model. So again, the more complicated the models are, the more parts you've got to kind of get behind. You've got to be quite careful of getting in and trying to scrub. It's not a wonder solutions, any of these, that will just do 100% of the job for you. So, bit of legwork in there. Now, I'm not fussed about getting right down to bare plastic. If you were going to do that, you would need to do sort of more layers. So this is after 2 layers on one model in the isopropanol. So you can see tiny areas of paint left on there, but there are also some areas where you're seeing through to the black layer, because I sprayed these models black first and then the lead belcher undercoat over the top, like I do a lot of my Necromunda models. So we're going to put it back in for a third 2 hour session, soaking in the liquids, and obviously the same model have gone in the same liquids the whole time, so we'll have a comparison at the end about what we thought did a better job. Now interestingly, scrubbing with the Methylated Spirit on the third job, and it's obviously ate its way into where the glue was holding the model together, and the backpack and the heads come off. The arms flexing slightly but not wanting to come off totally, so you can see how the liquids have worked slightly differently, because working on the model with the two axes, none of the parts have come off, and the isopropanol hasn't worked right the way into the joints and dissolved the glue. So just two interesting pieces. So that's all I've done, 6 hours. Now is careful, I've decanted the liquids back into their original bottles. I haven't done it with the meths because there's flecks of paint actually in the meth, and I'm going to use these in a fuel bottle, but I'm going to store that meths into a jam jar so we can use it later. Do not pour this stuff down the sink, think of the environment, save it for later. So now we can see here on the isopropanol model, really good, no real paint lingering around, and it is going down to the black as well for the original base coat. So you could see a few more drop-ins and it would be down to bare plastic. Another part falling off there on the model that we did with the Methylated Spirits, and as you can see there are a couple of areas where it's gone down to the black and a couple of areas it's gone to bare plastic, but it did have a real difficult time with the brass there, and I think it would take another couple of plunges for a few hours to get rid of all that paint. So two different methods there. Hope that you took something from that, and if you did, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in a video next time. And yeah, have fun stripping your models. I'll see you soon.